was louder than I expected. Hello, welcome to Salcedo Paranormal. It is Sunday, July 24th, 2022, and tonight I'll be sharing true paranormal stories from the web. As always, to find all the episodes and links to social media, ways to donate, and ways to contact me, you can visit the podcast page, which is salcedoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions, or if you have stories of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about those. And I want to just apologize real quick for not having a show Friday. Just for various reasons that was not going to work out, so had to cancel. But plans for next couple of shows are Wednesday will be the other half of the haunted transportation hubs locations series, which is haunted train stations and subway stations. And then Friday will be paranormal news, and next Sunday will be more of this. So, and I believe that covers everything. Also, today we're doing something a little bit different, in that I'm going to have a friend, a special guest, join me on the show to talk about these stories after I finish reading each one. And so I want to welcome Jen back to the show.
James, how are
Hello.
you?
Okay, how about you?
I'm doing good. Doing great.
Good. Well,
Happy to
thank
be
you.
here.
Yeah, thank you for joining me. And we were talking a little while back, and I really enjoyed having you on the show before, and I really appreciate you joining again.
Yeah, well, I was looking forward to it all week long. So happy to be here, like I said, and looking forward to hearing these stories.
Yeah. So, and just for anyone that doesn't know, real quick though, um, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into looking into all these strange things, and maybe if you want to, you can also mention your own channel as well.
Oh, okay. All right, thanks. Um, no, I've always been interested in the paranormal ever since I was really small, like a lot of people who go into this field. And so when I was a child, I experienced strange things, and growing up, I was always fascinated by it. And so I spent a lot of my time especially once like with the internet and everything, I got hold of a computer and then the libraries and all that. Just looking up everything I could find, anything I could find about the afterlife, about creatures, about cryptids, about UFO, anything and everything I could find. And that passion still continues to this day, and I just keep following it wherever it goes. And I do have a YouTube channel I started. I haven't really done much with it. I'm kind of trying to figure out what I want to do with it before I get too deep into doing it and then have to backpedal and start over doing it differently. So I'm just trying to really sort that out. And once I'm not as busy with other things, I probably will get to it soon as possible, I hope. I keep saying that, but surely soon enough, you know?
Oh yeah, no, it's a lot of work to do these things, to make these channels and these shows and everything. So I would definitely suggest everyone go check out the channel because there's already a lot of stuff there. And then I'm looking forward to whenever you are able to put out more videos. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and when I do, I'm hoping you'll be able to join me there too. And I really look forward to that.
Oh yes, definitely. Yep, I'd
Yeah,
be happy to.
cool.
Okay, well, then we will get to the stories here in a second. Thank everyone. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I see you all there in the stream listening, and I appreciate that. And of course, I always appreciate everyone listening, however you do, whether it's in the live streams or on YouTube or on the podcast feeds. So I always like to let everyone know that. Definitely appreciate that. So, but yeah, I will get to this first story here, and we'll see how see how many of these we get through. I want to be able to talk about each one, so we'll just go and see how everything flows and figure it out from there. So this first one says, "I've been told you shouldn't put mirrors in front of your bed, but I never believed it. I recently put a large makeup mirror in front of my bed, and this morning my friend woke up with pictures on her phone taken minutes apart around 3 a.m. I'm sorry, not 3 a.m., 1 a.m. We are both sleeping at this time. Her phone was on my dresser, so it's not like she could have accidentally taken them while she was sleeping. Should I be concerned or am I overthinking?" And so that's where that one ends. And so I find it interesting that you have the mirror, but then you also have manipulation possibly of an electronic device. So, but what do you think there, Jen?
That is super creepy. That's probably one of the scariest things I've heard in a while. Well, the idea in itself of having a mirror by your bed, I think I'm a little, it's weird, but I feel the same way about that. Like even a mirror like on a closet or on a right across when you wake up and you can see the mirror. There's something about being in the dark too. Just a little side note. With a mirror, just kind of feels very creepy. And I don't know, maybe if it is acting as some type of portal or something like that, which people talk about that all the time. We have like the Bloody Mary thing, and so there's something deep going into the back of the mind for some reason, and something about being in the dark or trying to sleep with a mirror near your bed. I'm sure just amplifies it, you know. So very creepy story. Who knows? Especially with her electronic device interacting with something. Could have been anything.
Yeah, yeah. And I wonder they didn't say what the pictures were, so I'm wondering if it was just pictures of the ceiling or if it was more if it was pictures that where you would have had to pick up the phone to take the pictures.
Ooh, that's
Um,
even.
yeah, that's the one thing with these stories, they leave a lot to the imagination because the writers don't always think of putting in every little detail, and
Hmm.
so you have to try to figure out the possibilities there. And but yeah, I do think it is odd that the two usually you hear stories of one thing or another. Either there's a mirror and something happens, or something happens with their device, but not usually having both. But then having both so close to each other, that could definitely play into it as well, like you said.
Yeah, something came out of the mirror and took pictures while they were sleeping.
Yeah,
It sounds super creepy. I don't
it
know. That's what
does.
I pick up. That's what you kind of are left to think. Great story.
Yeah, yeah, yep, definitely. Okay, well, this next one is a little bit longer, but I always like to mix these things together, the long ones, with the short ones. So I'll get started on this next one here. Let me check on the chat real quick first, though, before I go. But yeah, okay, looks like we're good. But yeah, so let me see here. I'll get to the story here, and this one says, okay, there we go. This says 3 or 4 nights ago, I was so sick that I couldn't sleep. So I went out to sit on my balcony, which overlooks many large trees. These trees have large, thick, clearly visible branches, not obscured by anything. There are also lights around my condo, which illuminate things, and I live near a busy city, lots of light pollution. So, although it was midnight, I could see silhouettes very well. I'm peering over the balcony, and on this branch, close to 15 meters maybe away, there is this huge dark shape. I'm talking bigger and wider than a person. It looks like two tightly folded wings, and I could see it overlapping the branch, as in it wasn't behind the branch on the ground. This weirded me out because I'm very familiar with let me see, familiar with the view at night, and that shape has never been there. I stared at it for maybe 10 minutes, moving around on the balcony to try to figure out what it was, but no luck. So I made a note of it in my mind, making absolutely sure it's vivid in my memory, and I went back to bed. Tonight, I was having trouble sleeping, so I went up to the balcony again at midnight, and the shape was gone. I'm kind of freaking out because my family and I have no history of hallucinations. I checked that what I was seeing was real that first night, and the thing was, again, huge, like a large creature with folded wings. I live in Southeast Asia, and the biggest bird here is an average sized eagle. The biggest animals here aren't even half the height of a person. What did I see? And it has a too long did it read. Impossibly large winged creature was relaxing in a tree in my condo. And then it has one more thing. It says, note, there are 3 reports of similar sightings, but these are dated from 2015 and might not mean anything. And that's it for that one.
Oh my God. I wonder if it was like, well, it could be once again. Okay, so he or she was having trouble sleeping. I wonder if there was some kind of connection there too. It was like, come see me, come through the window, you know? I mean, it makes you think of like vampires, gargoyles, demons. I don't know. That's extremely creepy that it's just outside her window of her condo with giant wings. I mean, you could be really practical and be like, it was a giant bird and somehow there was like a shadow thing, or maybe it's one of those enormous bats people talk about. But there seems to be something, they were creeped out. I mean, I don't care. That was probably some kind of gargoyle or something. It's super creepy, James. Really good story.
Yeah, it is, and it's detailed enough, or the wings are a good enough detail where you do have to wonder what it was. But then the fact that nothing else was seen except for the shape, that leaves a lot open.
Yeah. Well, it could be like some type of, shadow being creature, some type of, I don't know, because there's accounts of that too. People seeing strange, not necessarily has to be like human form shadow beings in their room. I've heard accounts like that before. There's something outside in a tree. That must have been a pretty big tree too, to support, unless it had no weight, unless it was like just a shadow anomaly of some type, like some type of creature, but an anomaly of shadow black. But interesting too that these accounts where they're kind of outside of cities or near city urban areas, just to think about something like that enormous flying over city centers and people just doing their business makes me think of like the gargoyle, or even I don't know, just something watching. And there's no eyes reported though. They didn't see any eyes or anything. I don't know. Leaves you wondering. I wish there was a picture or something.
Yeah, and there was not. It was because I always make sure I don't use the stories that have pictures because then it'd be difficult maybe to share it with the
Yeah.
podcast. But yeah, so there was no picture, but the sleeping, I thought the same thing. I thought it was odd that it was happening, or that it happened when they were having a hard time sleeping, and also they were sick.
Oh,
So
yeah.
um yeah, I don't know if there's any connections there or not, but yeah, I found some really even just odd ones even compared to what I usually find today. So it
These are
seems like anyway.
they're really good. It makes me think of the Mothman too. And I've heard of there's lots of stories about these flying creatures, but he or she didn't see it flying either. Just that it was in the tree, you know, went and looked again
Mhm.
and it wasn't. But the account that he or she got up, went to her balcony at that same time, saw this thing, this winged, see the depiction of the wings. So he or she is saying that the wings are kind of like it's like a giant bird thing. So like a mothman, gargoyles look like that. I don't know, but it could be something completely otherworldly, right? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah, good story there. Yep, yeah. So, let's see here. Okay, then I guess we'll go on to the next one here. This one says, so my best friend and I are having a sleepover. I don't remember falling asleep, but I had a dream that lasted just a few seconds of her handing me a shell at the beach and then flipping it over to expose a ton of small bugs. I jerked my arm back and woke myself up, and I said I was fine, nothing else. And she said, I just had the weirdest dream where I handed you a shell. And I finished the sentence for her. We had the same dream from our own perspective at the exact same time. Does anyone know what this could mean? So, and that's the end of that one. That's another short one.
That's
But
amazing.
yeah, yeah, I thought so too. For and especially for it being so short, there's no way to really. When it's that short, it's hard to exaggerate or confuse or accidentally assume things and make it up maybe, and then have it line up just right.
Yeah, it sounds like they're just relaying the experience. And when these kind of stories come up with the dreams and people having the same dreams, but the weirdness too that they woke up at the same time, both reporting the same dream back and forth to each other. So I think that that's really strange too. I wonder what the bond was between these two. If it was like a just a friendship, or if it was a sibling, or something to that effect. I don't know, because it makes you wonder, and the symbology too of it being a seashell, flipping it over, and a bunch of bugs. Really, the symbology on that sounds really strange too. You know, but I don't know. Something it's always. I wonder if they were in the age demographic too. I'd be curious to hear that. If they were like kids, or you know, I don't know. That's fascinating.
Yeah, they mentioned a sleepover, so on one hand, that makes me think they were not quite adults yet, but also, I mean, there's no reason that friends couldn't have sleepovers technically
That's
later on in
true.
life. So it's really hard to judge there. Um, but yeah, the
Yeah,
details on that are amazing.
kids have, especially like any time, kids are always so perceptive anyway. But you put them in a scenario like that where I don't know the honesty, or I don't know. It's hard to say, but cool story.
Yeah, yep, definitely. So we've got two more here, so I'll start in this next one. This one says, this is my first time writing on here, so apologies if I ramble or don't explain well. This story takes place a few weekends ago when my friend, 18 male, and I, 17 years old male, were driving to a show about an hour and a half away from where we live, give or take. He had picked me up from my house, and the sky was clear, but it started raining heavily about 15 to 20 minutes into the drive. It became so heavy that my friend and I weren't talking to each other at all, and the music was turned way down so that he could focus on the road, which was practically invisible due to the rain. It was like this for another 10 to 15 minutes, but then the rain lightened up again. This pattern would continue throughout our whole drive to the show and then back. We drove for a while, and we're talking and laughing now that he didn't have to focus so much on driving. Then in front of us, about 30 feet, I saw a man walking on the left side of the road, along the grass strip that separates the lanes, going in different directions. The man was older, maybe around 60, and wearing all white. Cliche, I know, but it is what it is. I went quiet. I saw that this man just appeared out of thin air in front of his car. The view was clear, and the road was straight, so he couldn't have crossed the road or been waiting for a long time without one of us seeing him. I hadn't been looking at my phone or at my friend either, so I couldn't have just been distracted. He just came out of nowhere. It took a moment before my friend noticed him, too. We drove by the man, and my friend yelled something like, "Where did that guy come from?" We both were freaking out a little now, and I turned to look out the back window, while my friend checked the rearview mirror. Neither of us could see the man at all. He had vanished just as quickly as he had appeared. My friend worriedly asked me if I saw the same thing as he did, or if I had seen the guy before and he just hadn't been paying attention. I told him I hadn't and jokingly asked him if he believed in ghosts. I've always been a believer and have a few other experiences before, but he's a huge skeptic about all those sorts of things. He didn't answer me for a moment, but then he started laughing and said, "Yeah, maybe I do." We moved on with the conversation after a few minutes. After the event, we both kept our eye out for this man. Of course, we didn't see him, but it was still a crazy experience. I rarely have a supernatural or paranormal experience with someone else there to confirm that I'm not crazy. I still have no idea what happened exactly, but I'm wondering if anyone has had any similar experiences on the road. And that's where that one ends.
Ooh, so roadside ghost story. That's it's so strange how these in these all these different types of stories with the where they see a spirit or they see like the prom dress girl or they see the woman in white or in this case a man in white walking down the middle strip. Is that what I'm kind of thinking they're talking about like the meridian or something like down the middle between two roads or just on the side of the road doesn't really matter. But the appearing out of nowhere and the taking notice of the detail and that he saw it from like a distance, like as you know, in the lights. I'm assuming I don't know if it was day or night, but hmm. Well, I mean, I think that they probably these are so common. I myself have seen a roadside ghost thing, and I've heard lots of different stories. I was actually told recently about a story about like some girl that had died at prom, you know, that kind of story, and people seeing her walking home carrying her shoes and stuff here locally where I live in Missouri. But so these stories are everywhere, and it's always there's so many things that can go wrong. You know, like somebody's walking down the road, or they're in a car accident. If it was a ghost. On the other hand, too, I mean, the thing with the rain is really strange. I think like there's always these accounts, like the David Paulides stories of missing 411. Like it's always storming right after these individuals go missing. There'll be like a big storm rolls in, makes it almost impossible to find them. You have accounts almost always in every pop culture scary movie or book or anything. It was storming, so people are always accounting that something changes the atmosphere, I think, with the weather. And we talked about that a little bit in the past. And I think that there is something to that, that there's a correlation between the incredible weather, the severe storm, and seeing this thing on the side of the road. But the atmosphere of that, I can totally see it that they're driving. They're a little relieved there's no storm. And then boom, a
Yeah,
man in white. Yeah.
yeah. That all even if there is no lightning, that's still a lot of water that's coming down through the air, and there's something about water in the paranormal as well. So yeah, definitely. And then the way it just appeared and then disappeared. I think it was on a meridian. So, but yeah,
Yeah, that's particularly cool that they look. But that's funny though. Looking through the rearview mirror, I wonder if they actually turned around and looked, or what if it? I don't know. There's no telling. It could have been
Yeah,
anything.
the passenger turned around and looked, and then the driver looked through the rearview mirror, and nothing was there. So that is that does sound like he just vanished, and it doesn't sound like there's a lot where they could have hid behind either.
Oh, yeah, exactly. No, I think that they saw a roadside ghost. It's very common. People see those things, in the paranormal storytelling. That's a very common theme. They're driving, they saw something on the road. It's always these weird, and it's transitory, like if you think about it, makes sense to encounter things on a road, at crossroads, or anything like that because of the energy itself that's going one way or direction on a constant basis. But then also too the isolation of most roads, even if they're like highways and things like that, that there's quite a bit of isolation. It's not populated by a lot of people. It's just drivers. So you'll see like a lot of these stories pop up in accounts like that because I think I don't know, it's just creepy though to imagine just a ghost walking on its, in its own whatever type of reality it's living in down a road in the middle of nowhere, and then people just happen to come across the occurrence. But I think it's so strange too that why did they disappear? Like, I don't get that. Like, why, as if they're like, "Oop, I was seen," and they disappear. I don't know. It's mysterious. Very cool
Yeah,
story.
yeah, or if it was some kind of residual thing, didn't
Uh
even
huh.
notice they were there. That's possible too. Um, yeah, no, I think that you are right. There are tons of those kind of stories about either men or women or young. A lot of time with men, it's they're just walking. With the roads, when it comes to the women or girls, they a lot of times that's where the hitchhiker thing comes in, and they get in
And they
their
get in.
vehicle. Yeah,
Ooh, yeah, those
and
are
then they
good.
vanish. So yeah, um, but yeah, neat story. So we got one more here. I'll go over this, and then we can talk about it. So let's see here. This one says, and I like this one the way it starts because it explains something beforehand. This says, just thought I'd say beforehand that I do write in a ton. I write a ton. So if this sounds like me, excuse me, this may sound like fiction because I write fiction a lot. But this is a true experience I had when I was younger. I've always believed in the paranormal. From a young age, I knew that ghosts, demons, etc. were real. I don't mean things from movies, but real ghosts. Back when I was around 10, I would see this ghost, or whatever it was, in my window every night. I lived on the second story, so it definitely wasn't someone or some creepy woman in my window. I would come into my bedroom at night and see a girl with drenched hair and a creepy smile staring at me from outside the window. I'd rush over and close the blinds, but I never thought to check if she went away afterwards. Something really weird is that I could swear I closed the blinds before coming into the room. My then adult brother knew not to go in my room, and my parents spent 90% of the time downstairs. Eventually, after about a year, these sightings stopped happening. Maybe I just had an active imagination, but I believe that I did see a ghost. Every now again, every now and again, I'll see her outside my window again, but not as much as I used to. Maybe she's moved on. Maybe not. Maybe she's biding her time. Who am I to say? And of course, that's where that one ends.
Oh my gosh, that's so creepy. And too, she mentions that he or she, I'm not sure which one, but that the parents are downstairs. So is that an insinuation that this was like a second floor, or there could be a basement type of thing, like a bi-level? That's possible too. But what's really creepy that gets me about this one, the first paranormal experience I ever had was was similar in that I saw it outside my window. I was like 4 or 5, and so I don't know. I can really relate to this because my first paranormal experience was seeing it was a cloaked figure, outside of my window when I was like 4 or 5 years old, and I saw it on a like a regularish basis. I remember it being the primary kind of attitude it would take was being outside my window. So I can relate to that. I also hear this too with like UFO encounters. I've heard people report that they see something outside their window, or they'll see like there's something about the window too as like a portal of some type, but so strange that they aren't in the room. And I think there's a big difference there because she could have just as easily here she could just as easily seen it inside the house as other people account in the closet at the foot of the bed. But the entity chooses to be seen from the other side of the window. I don't know, that's so creepy. Poor thing.
Yeah, yeah. It was a second story window. Also, it seems like they had their blinds on the window closed before they had the sighting, like when they left the room, and then when they came back, that's
Uh,
when they'd have the sighting, and the blinds would be open again. So that's actually manipulation of
Ooh,
an object
that's so
along with the
scary.
blinds.
So like the thing, like you can just imagine like it being outside the window and the individual's not in the room and the blinds slowly go up, revealing it, and it's just waiting for her to see it. Oh, that's terrifying.
It
Well, I don't
is,
know.
yeah. Sorry,
Well, to me, that creeps me out. But I mean, it didn't hurt her,
right.
you know?
That's the main thing, and they still see it now once in a while. It seems like, which is also odd.
Yeah,
So it
that
seems
is
like if they were gonna do anything bad, then they would have done it sooner.
true.
Um, so,
Is it
but
a
it's
maybe it's a feeder though? It could be like feeding off of the, oh my God, there's something outside my window. I don't know.
yeah,
When I saw
yeah,
the thing that I was seeing, it was same thing. It didn't do anything. I was just like, I'd lay there like frozen in fear, just like staring at it, you know? Or the memories I have of it, because it would be like in the middle of the night, I'd wake up and see it. So like kind of a, I don't know what you'd call it. It doesn't matter. But so I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting that it didn't do anything. There was no other paranormal going. Like there was no poltergeist activity inside the room. I wonder if this was followed up. I'd like to talk to this person and find out like if they'd had any kind of strange dreams along with this stuff, and if they saw any other paranormal encounters the rest of their life besides just this one individual girl who looks soaking wet with a creepy smile. Ooh, that's scary.
yeah. That is a creepy one. That's for sure. Yeah,
Hmm.
no, but
Great.
yeah, very interesting. I really was happy with what I found tonight. So, or earlier today. So, but
Yeah,
yeah, a lot of neat stuff today.
awesome. Yeah, those are creepy. That kind of that last one. Well, I like the last one a lot because I can relate to it. But then the one about the with the rain and everything, like there is something weird about the roadside ghost story, and they're so common. Makes me think there must be something to, I don't know, maybe not because I've heard about phantom cars and things like that. That maybe that constant flow of energy of the vehicles and the rush of energy in one direction and the amount of transients of people coming and going, if that in itself creates some type of weird time something or other. I have no idea. It's really strange. Great stories tonight.
Yeah, and then if you think about, because they said they were on a road that had a median between basically two sides of the same road, but they went in different directions. So I'm guessing there'd be points on that road where you can cross over and turn around if you had to. So there could be, if you think about it, you have these two sides of this road that are going different directions. That energy is going in different directions. But then
Hmm.
there are points where you can, they're almost like little links in between those two sides. So
Yeah,
yeah,
as if it's like you're saying that it could be creating some type of gateway of sorts because of the differentiation of, the energy flow in one way or the other. Same, but it seems like any opportunity and any chance, like a mirror, like in the first story, a mirror, a window, the roads and any type of intersection, crossroads, and things like that. and to do with water too, because you have the shifting of the atmosphere. So it seems, and you hear this all the time too, with like all the accounts of the fairy world and then the paranormal in general, that it has to do with times where like between dusk and dawn, or night and day, right at the line, or in between seasons even, or like when like time is changing, like an hour to from this time to the, I don't know. So there might be something to that. There has to be, right? So I think these were great stories.
I'm glad you enjoyed them, and then thank you for being here with me to talk about them because that made that a lot more fun.
Good. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I look forward to doing it again sometime.
Yeah, well, as I said before, you're always welcome. So just let me know. So, um,
Sure enough.
yeah, well, I'll let you go, and but thank you again, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, James. Have a good night.
You as well. So, yeah, hope you all enjoyed that. I definitely did, and again, Wednesday I'll be talking about haunted train stations and subway stations. So I already have the research set aside for that, so that should be fun. And I'll be starting in let's see here, in the end of August. We'll be starting a new series of shows um, covering ancient beliefs regarding the afterlife and possible ways that a stronger magnetic field around the world could could have enhanced those and even made some things more possible at that point. So, or more evident, I should say, in this world. And looking forward to that as well. That'll be a series of monthly shows. So, thank you all again, and I will talk to you all on Wednesday on the next episode of Salcedo Paranormal. Take care, everyone.